Well, how's everyone doing today? Hope you've had a great start to your work week, your holiday week. We are getting close, very close to Turkey Day 2025. Um, but with that being said, got some news that I want to share with everybody. Kind of give community, all my readers, subscribers, viewers, heads up on what I've been working on. And if you didn't tune in to Chillicothe City Council last night, I made an appearance, um, basically to introduce Chillicothe City Council to Dr. Michael Ketterer. Dr. Michael Ketterer is a biochemist, world renowned biochemist, also professor emeritus at Northern Arizona University. He has been integral in exposing the extent of radioactive contamination down in Pike County. With that being said, it was his work that led to the closure, eventual closure of Zons Corner Middle School after radioactive isotopes were found inside by Dr. Michael Ketterer. I truly respect this man at the highest level. He has a heart truly for communities that's been affected by legacy radioactive contamination and really contamination um, all all the way around. Um, he also realizes how companies have exploited communities over the years. The United States government has exploited communities, taken advantage of them, and left behind toxic messes that the community has to deal with. And they're left holding the bag and carrying the burden of these contaminated sites, and it's horrible. So, with that being said, I went to City Council last night to introduce Dr. Ketterer and talk a little bit about his work and talk a little bit about his work and what he's done in communities and what he's willing to do for the city of Chillicothe. Dr. Michael Ketterer, a world renowned biochemist, is willing to pro bono do an independent assessment of the toxic sites in Chillicothe, places like wherever, taking a look at the plume, looking at the data. He is willing to consult with Chillicothe City Council so that they have a true understanding of the seriousness and the extent of the toxic legacy in Chillicothe. And he's willing to do this, like I said, pro bono, no cost to the taxpayer, no cost to the city. And right now, I've got two wonderful city council members who are willing to join me on this adventure to expose and deal with the toxic sites in Ohio's first capital, Chillicothe, Ohio, just an hour south of Columbus. So that's where we are. Last night, I had a great discussion with a few members of City Council, and the consensus is everywhere I go, everything I do when it comes to environmental stuff about this region is people say, I had no clue. That's the problem. It's kind of like the old saying that the greatest trick the devil ever played was making the world believe that he didn't exist. And that's the problem with contamination and the toxic legacy left behind by the Rust Belt's industrial footprint. Out of sight, out of mind. It happened. We buried it, little secrets. We move on, we forget about it. And then 10, 20 years later, communities start seeing cancer clusters pop up everywhere. And people wonder why. Or maybe former employees of a particular manufacturing site start coming up with or developing rare forms of cancer and other illnesses. And then they wonder why they're sick or why their loved ones have died. It's the exploitation of these companies. And it's been that way for generations, especially in Appalachian, the Rust Belt. Big business take advantages of small towns. Small towns are left paying the price. And that's kind of the way it is in Chillicothe and dealing with places like wherever, the paper plant. But we talked last night at City Council also about the PFABs lawsuit. PFAS, forever chemicals, those things that get stored in your body and just build up over time, and they are directly linked to cancer. We see PFAS, forever chemicals, in things like Teflon, on the black stuff, nonstick coating surfaces on your cookware. PFAS, dangerous, cancer causing. So places like wherever use DuPont products to create the Teflon, put it on the pans and everything. Thus, we have a PFAS waste stream. Another thing, specialty paper companies, ones like the Chillicothe paper plant that made specialty paper, coated paper. It's been shown, proven, even by the US EPA, that these specialized papers, these coatings that they put on it or in the fibers, also contain forever chemicals, PFAS. And speaking of that, in Chillicothe, when we're talking about the paper plant, Pixel, just within the last 5, 6 years, came up with a line of PFAS-free products, which tells me prior to these products being introduced, your standard products had PFAS, forever chemicals. So the city of Chillicothe is literally surrounded, inundated, swamped by PFAS creating manufacturers. With the granddaddy of them all, the reason why there is a PFAS lawsuit, DuPont. A PFAS making factory right up the road from Chillicothe. The same DuPont that from 1974 to 1979 dumped, and I quote, please listen, over 6,500 tons of hazardous waste from their Circleville facility, dumped it on Seney Road in the old Chillicothe landfill. 6,500 tons. Imagine how many PFAS, how many dangerous chemicals are mixed in there. Because PFAS are not regularly tested for, because this is new. You know, we're getting new science, new understanding of the dangers of certain chemicals and how they accumulate in the body and how they are linked to cancer. So with that being said, we don't get testing like we should. So, is there PFAS in the city dump? I would most certainly say with a 99% certainty that there is. There is. So the city is in a prime position for litigation, not just to join in the PFAS, the current federal PFAS lawsuit and get a part of that settlement, but you also have the ability to sue for these sites and provide compensation because this is a serious situation. I recently posted testing data that the Ohio EPA had done on PFAS in the Scioto River at various points, including Ross County. Very, very high PFAS levels are found in the Scioto River, well above what is perceived to be safe limits. So it's an issue. Forever chemicals. There is a reason they call them forever chemicals because they don't break down, they're very stable, and they don't go away. So that's where we are. And that's why I went to City Council last night to introduce the work of Dr. Michael Ketterer and his willingness to consult with the city of Chillicothe. Like I said, pro bono, no strings attached. Why wouldn't City Council want to sign up and talk to Dr. Michael Ketterer? Your guess is as good as mine. But that's where we are. That's the situation, and that's what I was working on yesterday and have been working on, is to try to get independent testing, independent analysis, and for the city to understand the need to test Mary Lou Patton Park. Because the Ohio EPA says the wherever plume is nowhere near the park, that it magically just curved away from it. Kind of like the magical force field that they say is around the Piketon atomic plant in Pike County, and they say no radioactive contamination gets outside of this magical force field. Whoa. Whoa. Come on, people. We ain't dumb. We may be from Southern Ohio, we may be from the heart of Appalachia, but we ain't dumb. We're not dumb. So that's where we're at. That's what we're looking at. And that's what I'm working on. And we'll continue to do. Dr. Ketterer is willing to work with the city of Chillicothe, but city of Chillicothe, are you willing to work with Dr. Ketterer for free? Why not? Let's talk about these toxic sites. I mentioned this last night at City Council. If we want to see the city of Chillicothe prosper, we want to move from this industrial, rural Rust Belt town to a tourism hotspot because we have received World Heritage recognition because of our indigenous sites, then we have to deal with the toxic and dirty secrets of the past. Excuse me. So, there it is. So, I wanted to jump on here, give everybody an update about what I've been working on and the situation with Chillicothe City Council. I'm going to continue to pressure them, and we are going to continue to expose the toxicity of Chillicothe and to deal with these problems that should have been dealt with decades ago. So, once again, I thank you so much for tuning in, listening to me rant and rave about the environmental impacts in our community. Because the one thing about the environment, it affects all of us. You know, contamination, pollution, death, cancer. It don't care about your political party. It don't care on which side of the aisle you are. It don't care whether you're rich, whether you're poor. It don't discriminate. So if we allow companies to destroy our environment, destroy our homes, make it unsafe for our families, what are we doing? We're complicit into it. So we have to stand up for our communities and for our environment because let's face it, folks, when it's gone, it's gone. It ain't coming back. So if we destroy our home, our natural resources, when it's gone, it's gone. So until next time, thank you once again for tuning in. My name is Jason Sally. I am an investigative journalist and founder of the Ohio Atomic Press. Check out my work on YouTube, on TikTok, Facebook, Newsbreak, Instagram, wherever social media is. Look for Jason Sally, look for the Ohio Atomic Press, and look for the J News Network. Thanks once again, and I hope you and your family also have a very happy and blessed Thanksgiving. Till next time, take care of each other, take care of our environment.